Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again in this YouTube astrological segment. Well, I'm going to be talking about the natal chart of Mollie Tibbetts. Some of you may have heard this is a woman that had recently disappeared when she went out for a jog. It was on July 18th of 2018, and about 10 p.m. This happened. So this happened in Brooklyn, Iowa. I believe the city was Brooklyn. I know it was Iowa. I believe the city was Brooklyn. Anyway, well, sadly, first of all, my hearts go out to the family and friends of this person. I hope she is found and unscathed and unharmed. But anyway, well, first thing I looked at, I couldn't get the time, obviously, of her birth. So this is based on a solar/sunrise chart for her. Now, first of all, as far as her solar sunrise chart goes, looking at that, well, she does have, there were 3 planets in the 12th house, which the house of disappearances. Venus was in there, and Saturn, and also, she has, those are, right there you have some indicators in her chart of disappearances and of potential disappearance. Also, Mercury was in there, and Mercury, of course, can be connected with short journeys. And having Venus and Aries falls in that 12th house, I'm hoping, but this wasn't something connected with maybe some acrimonious relationship or somebody or some volatile action by somebody that maybe could be a prominent friendship or someone in a relationship. I hope it was not tied into that. Also, in her chart, that was interesting. This happened on a lunar return. Imagine that her moon is in Libra, and when this happened on July 18th, she was going through a lunar return. It happened in the 6th house in her solar sunrise chart. And interestingly enough, I remember right, she was sitting on, I think, some pets at the time, and the 6th house is associated with small pets. In that solar sunrise chart as well, she has Neptune in Aquarius conjunct the midheaven, and this sometimes can manifest in some cases in some mysterious, and being an Aquarius, perhaps very unusual type of disappearances, which could be tied into maybe there might be some notoriety and recognition, exposure, unfortunately, for this, the fact that it's hitting the midheaven. Now, the thing about this too is, on her midheaven in this chart, it's at 29 degrees Capricorn. Of course, 29 degrees is a critical anaretic degree. Ironically enough, many of you may know that I'm doing a series right now on critical degrees in astrology, and being 29 degrees Capricorn, this is like this full energy culmination. I see this very despondent, depressing, melancholy energy and connected with one's reputation, sadly. Now, on her 8th house cusp, Sagittarius is there. Now, the ruler of this falls in the 11th house. It's Jupiter in Pisces. Now, as I've talked about previously in other videos, that Jupiter, of course, can be paradoxical. It's very strongly benign and benevolent, but it could also have the tendency to enlarge and expand. And being Pisces, the sign, of course, could be connected with disappearances and, things that are very often mysterious, I think, as well. This could have the tendency to enlarge that, and maybe, sadly, perhaps she did. I really hate to think that she has passed on, but if she has, it could be tied in, of course, with the disappearance, obviously, and the thing, and being in the 11th house. It's not surprising. This is something that is group related in terms of doing. There was a major search hunt for her. I believe has been called off by now, but I'm sure she still has prominent family members and friends that are searching for her very persistently, I'm sure, at this time. Just because an official search may be called off on someone doesn't mean that other people that are close to this person aren't searching for it, and I'm sure they are. But anyway, Also, too, at this time, I mean, she had some interesting transits. I mean, she had, at the time, transit Sun in Cancer was at 26 degrees, a critical degree in the third house in the solar sunrise chart. Third house, of course, being short journeys. It was approaching the fourth house, sadly, of the end of life house, and the fourth house cusp. Also, at this time, she had and still has, of course, transit North Node in Leo in the fourth house of end of life. In some cases, this could be a dramatic end of life, is what this could suggest in some cases. Now, also, too, I believe she had transit Mercury in the fourth house. And, of course, Mercury, again, is connected with short journeys. And fourth house, again, sadly, the end of life. Now, I don't want to sound overly pessimistic, morbid, or morose, but I'm really beginning to wonder if she's ever going to be found and if she is still alive at this point. In her natal chart as well, she has Pluto in the seventh house, which could suggest a death may occur could be an open adversary or somebody that she might be in some kind of relationship with. It doesn't necessarily have to be a significant other. It could be an important friendship. Now, also at the time of this disappearance, transit Jupiter was making a conjunction to the natal Chiron in Scorpio. So, I mean, as I've talked about before, of course, Jupiter, very strongly benign and benevolent, could also have the tendency to enlarge and expand. And I'm wondering maybe this has something to do with this disappearance of transit. Jupiter in Scorpio could conjunct the natal Chiron, could expand and enlarge wounds, sometimes of a physical nature. This could have been done, maybe this has something to do with the fact this has been very mysterious and done in a very surreptitious, stealth-like manner. And maybe done, there might have been some vengeful, vindictive energy, I'm wondering, perhaps connected with this, maybe sadistic energy, sadly. I mean, who really knows? Hopefully, this will be resolved sooner than later. Another thing, too, is that at the time that this happened, to her transit Mars retrograde was making I wouldn't say a conjunction necessarily, but it was getting very close proximity to her natal Neptune, not far from it. So this could be an indicator of something of a disappearance, maybe that was connected with something of a volatile, very spontaneous, unpredictable nature. And also, too, at the time, transit Chiron was making a conjunction, very tight conjunction to her 12th house cusp in her chart. And again, I may have said that her natal chart, her solar sunrise chart is what I'm saying, though. So before I'm talking about the solar sunrise chart. But anyway, it was hitting her 12th house cusp in the solar sunrise chart. And of course, Chiron can be not just emotional wounds, can be connected with physical wounds. 12th house is a house of endings, and also it's a house connected with disappearances as well. Anyway, well, another thing is that I want to talk about as far as the event. Well, another thing I want to get at, I don't think I stated this yet. Also, transit Black Moon Lilith in Capricorn was approaching her 10th house cusp. Now, this could be something where this could be an indicator of some kind of notoriety, recognition, exposure, unfortunately, for something of a very dark, nefarious nature, perhaps, might be tied into it. Could be in something that's causing a lot of dejection, despondency, and making people feel very sad and melancholy, unfortunately. Transit Saturn is in her 8th house in that solar sunrise chart as well. So this could be given, I mean, this could in some cases suggest a death that could be causing some that might have causing a lot of sadness and sorrow and dejection. And again, I don't want to hope the worst, but I mean there are indicators as to this could actually have been a death. This could, I mean, hopefully it won't be, but there are. But as I stated, I mean it's been right now it's been like 5, almost 6 days since she has disappeared. And I mean, I really do hope for the best, though. But there are indicators that this could have been tied in from something of a volatile nature, I believe. And anyway, another thing I want to talk about as far as the event chart goes. Well, the event in the event chart, the thing was, oddly enough, I mean, Aquarius was on the ascendant on the first house cusp, so that's the face of the event naturally. So this is something which really, I mean, obviously was very shocking, caught a lot of people off guard, obviously. And this is also in something that obviously was just so completely unpredictable. And also Neptune, imagine that being in the first house and making this so really clouding maybe the picture a little bit and making this very obscure and making it really hard to see those details. If I remember right, Neptune, it was also intercepted, I believe. You'd have to check on that. It was took place, I believe, Brooklyn, Ohio at 10 p.m. The event, approximate time is when she had disappeared. But anyway, and another thing too, I thought what caught my eye, no pun intended, of course, but the sun in that event chart, the sun in Cancer, 26 degrees, making an inconjunct to the Aquarius ascendant. Now, I mean, in astrology, when you look at like natal charts, I mean, if you have the sun making an adverse aspect to the ascendant, it could often, I mean, give some kind of eye difficulties. And depending on, because the sun, of course, is connected with the left or right eye of the person, depending on gender. So when I look at this event chart, at least the way I perceive it, when you have the sun making an adverse aspect to the ascendant, well, this could suggest that it may have been difficult to have witnesses actually see what had happened, and when she dissipated basically into thin air, into the night. That is, I think, playing a role perhaps in the fact that, I mean, there's so much difficulty in actually trying to locate this person, sadly. So anyway, I really don't have too much else to say. The only other thing is I remember in her natal chart she has the sun conjunct Mars. So the only what I can look at as far as that goes, remember that the sun rules life. And I mean, you know, I mean, someone, I mean, this doesn't go for everybody that has it, of course, but there is a greater chance that, I mean, a life could maybe be taken by a volatile action. I think, and when I look at this, and you also have Chiron in her chart, natal chart, making an opposition to her natal sun, and of course the sun again is about life. So, and when you have, of course, Chiron adversarial making an opposition to it, well, you understand. And anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for astrology and the disappearance of Mollie Tibbetts. Anyway, people, tune in next time where I'm going to be continuing my series on the zodiac signs and the 29th degree. Two things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone, because astrologically speaking, the person is the sum of all their components in their natal chart and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.